everyone, Ray Warren with you now. Good evening and welcome to Stadium Australia for this clash, this Anzac Day clash between New Zealand and Australia. It's the 80th test match to be played between these two rugby league nations, with Australia at 56 victories, New Zealand 22, and one of them has been drawn. High expectation for the Australian team, particularly as Brad Fitler takes the Australians out for another occasion. Fitler has captained his side, the Australian side that is, on 9 occasions for an 8-1 record at the moment. Steve Roach on the sideline, a comment from him just up in front of kickoff.
Yeah, can't wait for this one. We all know that Australia are odds-on favourites tonight, but the biggest problem could be their complacency, something I know Chris Anderson has been working on. But never underestimate the New Zealand team. Remember the Anzac test last year when they got into the Aussies' faces and intimidated. They won that test. A few showers about, 15 degrees and a fresh southerly blowing.
Thank you, Stephen. As we zoom into the kickoff, Stuart Cummings is the referee, the Englishman who's been in control of 3 Challenge Cups, and New Zealand with first use of the football. And it's Jason Lowry who brings it back to meet the defence about 15 away from his own line. For now, Joe Vangana to bring it out and be tackled about 28 metres out from his own line. So they've done reasonably well from a deepish kickoff. This is Swan, the lock, and he will play the ball on play number 3. First set of 6 in the test match, Australia versus New Zealand. And of course Australia going down in the corresponding match in Auckland last year. Stacey Jones, I do believe for them to compete tonight, he has to play well. This is Wendell Saylor with the first touch for the Australians, and he will play the ball back inside his own 30-metre line. 20 metres in from touch on the western side of the ground. Daly came into first receiver. Daly playing in the number 3 jumper. That'll be an interesting facet of the game, just to see how he handles that. Of course, a champion can handle any position, I suppose, but he will feel rather strange out wider as Andrew Johns unloads, and it's Glenn Lazarus taking it up and being tackled about 5 metres on his own side of the halfway. Opening seconds of the test match between the Kiwis and the Kangaroos, and this is Robbie Kearns to the halfway line. Johns, the Newcastle halfback, away for Langer, who captained Australia in the 2 test matches at the end of last year against the Kiwis, captained them both successfully for Australia to win the Trans-Tasman. And now they come across for Leslie Vainacola, who's been playing down in First Division with Canberra on a couple of occasions this year, and now it's gone to the right of the ground. And brought down and tackled is the centre 3-quarter Willie Talau for the New Zealanders. This is Swan, the back rower, Logan Swan, played back and away from Henry Paul to his brother Robbie, and then away for the number 3, which is Willie Talau, I should say, playing in 3, and Ruben Wiki in 4. It comes across now for the clearing kick. He doesn't quite go for that kick. He goes very high. It's more of a midfield bomb, and Rogers offers a mistake. And those New Zealanders, they were standoffish, or maybe they knew they were offside. If they were, I can't imagine why they weren't penalised.
Very difficult take here for Matt Rogers. Ball was swirling around. It's cleaned up by Darren Smith. Quite an attacking kick there, putting pressure on the Australian winger. There's also been a change in the numbering in the back row for Australia. Kearns is in 11, Tallis in 12. And Stacey Jones straight through.
Inside ball and Paul's over. Robbie Paul has put it down under the uprights. Australia has opened up, and New Zealand takes the first points.
Well, don't worry about the numbering of the back row of Australia. The most important numbering is that 4. 4-0 to Kiwis. They got the football back from the kick, and straight away Stacey Jones, he steps inside, a Darren Lockyer slip, and finds on the inside Robbie Paul, and this will be 6 points very early on for the Kiwis. Stacey Jones, as Ray Warren pointed out, such an important player for the Kiwis tonight, and he started off in style.
Yeah, Ray said he had to play well. He always plays well, whether it be for Auckland or New Zealand. A great little dart from him. Only 15 metres out, and that's a wonderful start. All comes from that Australian mistake out wide through Rogers.
Well, the Paul brothers touched down in Australia only on Tuesday after being released by Bradford Bulls to play in the test match. The conversion is there. New Zealand 6, Australia 0. Andrew Johns it is that puts it down very, very deep. Well, it couldn't have worked out better for the Kiwis, could it? They brought out a very good 6. And then they played the game in the Australian territory before a mistake was made by Matt Rogers. That's where it all started. He's reached the Australian 40-metre line. 6-0 in favour of New Zealand as Stacey Jones punches a kick down into the in goal, which is quite large. It'd be the full 11 metres, I'd imagine, and Lockyer gets back into the field of play, ducking under a fairly suspect tackle from Willie Talau, but he was falling into it, I must say. Now it's Rogers.
Yeah, Lockyer just got into the field of play. Some high stuff there from the Kiwis, but a great set of 6 by them. They made 60 metres on their ear, and the Paul boys heavily involved running from dummy half.
Webke losing his footing. That's the second Australian noticeably to do that. Darren Lockyer didn't have any luck when he missed that tackle. Now they come across quickly through Fitler and Daly for Saylor, and Saylor goes channeling back in to be tackled 35 metres out from the Australian line.
And the opening 6 minutes of this game, you've got to say that the forward battle is going the Kiwis' way. Some great stuff from Jason Lowry, Joe Vungana up front, backed up beautifully by Kayla Swan and McCracken, making plenty of metres. Not so the Australians, and that's Lazarus who's cartwheeled into the ground.
And that was a suspect tackle from Ruben Wiki, who's playing in 4. Now Saylor gets some space down the left. He beats the opposition the first time, but it was an ankle tapping attempt, and it put him off balance. Now they go to the right for Langer, and then across to the middle. The run around with Langer and Fitler, then Lockyer. A lofted ball cuts out the centres. Rogers comes in and away. Then he's backed up by Darren Smith, and he's gone down inside the 10. Beautiful piece of play by the Australian back line. Fifth tackle is there. Langer into the hands of Jason Smith. Short ball Fitler. Left-footed kick by Fitler. And it's going down in goal and across the touchline. This is Vainakolo. Youngster. One of, I think it's 5 debutants in the New Zealand 17. Talau, Vainakolo, Kidwell, Rua and Swain. As the Kiwis with a 6-0 lead on the board. They take it across to the left to Logan Swan.
And the first interchange sees this man into the action, Terry Hermanson, on for Joe Vungana, and Hermanson does a good job in picking up 8 tough metres. Goes to Logan Swan. He's got support on the outside in Carla. Strong tackle head on from Jason Smith.
Langer comes in to help Jason. So the Parramatta and Brisbane players combining, and Stuart Cummings has given a penalty. He's found a hand in the play of the ball. 2 men in the tackle. Steve Roach on the sidelines.
Yeah, they look a little bit lazy at marker. There's no intensity there at the moment for the Australians. They've got to work into this game. The Kiwis well on top at the moment, making easy yardage from that dummy half area.
25 away now from the Australian line. Let's see if this defence is a bit tighter as New Zealand tested again for the second serious time in the game. Playing it back for Henry Paul. Comes right for Stacey Jones. Dummies to Swan. Goes back the other way for Robbie Paul to find Barnett, who plays it right in front of the uprights. 10 metres out from Paul. It goes to his brother Henry, standing at first receiver. And he's pulled down 5 metres out from the line. So they pepper the Australian defence, and the ball goes to Jones. Jones to Swan. Swan away from Tallis. Then tries to straighten. He loses his footing on tackle 5. Henry Paul goes back for Stacey Jones. He kicks back and across, and there's a jump on here, a contest for the ball. It's been won by the NZers. Nathan Kayla's had a little smell of it, but he couldn't go on with it. And Australia takes it into touch. That was a definite chance, though, there for New Zealand. So the pressure is right on for Australia. It's with Jones again. Jones away for Talau. Gets it back for Kalis. Kalis, good support play. Now Henry Paul back away for Jason Lowry. They're not putting them down, although New Zealand's not going ahead either. McCracken is there with it now and put down by Daly. 12 metres from the line. Still a chance for the NZers. A one-handed pick-up by Henry Paul. Ruben Wiki offloads. Jared McCracken was still there after playing it. Now 5 tackles are gone. And they're 9 metres from the line. From Henry Paul across for Stacey Jones. He goes to the air, and they're going to test those players on the right of the ground. There's a chance on. Australia couldn't clean it up the first time. They do now, but it'll be a line drop out. Good play, New Zealand. So Lazarus takes his first visit to the bench, and young Fletcher has come on, the Sydney City player, the only Australian on debut. Now Terry Hermanson and a shoulder charge. He's met there by Kearns, and he'll play the ball on the Australian 30-metre line. Lowry has been prominent in the opening exchanges. He's put down by Kearns and Tallis, the Australian second rowers. From Henry Paul to Robbie Paul. He then goes across and gives the ball back on the inside for Wiki. Played back for Swan. Away it goes from him through Henry Paul. Now Stacey Jones to the 20-metre line and the defence line. Barnett comes in. Now it's Vainakolo trying to stay in the field of play, and he does that. by submitting to the tackle. Barnett, the fullback, stays at dummy half. Now Stacey Jones turns it back inside. Kalis goes through the traffic, and the markers coming across were able to make the tackle. 20 metres out from the Australian line. Penalty. No, it's simply a lost football, and it's going to be a scrum to pack down.
I thought the referee might have allowed that one to play on.
Australia in familiar territory so far in the Test match, which is nearly 15 minutes old. And again, they're running the ball out from their own danger zone with Saylor, Daly the dummy half, and another of the bench players is on, Nick Kosef, the Manly player. Already has represented his country a couple of times. He plays it back for Andrew Johns and then for Alan Langer. Langer's kick is low and going down towards the 10-metre line. Better than that. Barnett comes away. Now tries to straighten. Is met by a ring of Australian defence, and they hit him very heavily. Kosef came over the top of Andrew Johns. That would have really stung the New Zealand fullback. And
a very telling statistic, that one just up on screen. 75 tackles made by the Australian team. 37 for the Kiwis. And again, the Aussies will be called upon for more defence. Here's a quick tap taken by Henry Paul.
And he's gone straight through the Australian defence. He's still going. He's over the 30-metre line. Now he steps inside another. It's a great run by Henry Paul that ends 10 metres out. Australia trying to regroup and get some kind of a line together. Now it's Willie Talau, and he's put away 7 metres out from the Australian line. Henry Paul, who did the damage at acting half. Jones away. Now it's out for Bunganar, and he's held 9 metres from the Australian line. Playing it back for Jones. They work the short side. Hermanson pirouettes into the Australian. 6-0 to the Kiwis at the moment. It's a good chance for them here with a couple of tackles remaining. McCracken's offload. Wiki put down 2 metres from the line, and the 5th tackle is with them. They put a little kick in behind. Work for Daly.
Just on Brian Fletcher, Ray, we point out only just 9 starting games in first grade. Played 31 off the bench as well. He's a late bloomer. He is 24 years of age, so not unusual his story as Hermanson stutters forward.
Hermanson eventually put down by Gordon Tallis. As Jason Lowry forges ahead for New Zealand. Good yards. They are the hard yards. Now down the blind with Jones and Swan. Swan on his back. 15 metres out from the green and gold line. Swain sweeping it away. And then Robbie Paul finding Matt Rua. Rua will play the ball after he's been tackled by Fitler and also Fletcher. The Sydney City teammates combining in defence. Now Jones, he uses a second man play, picks up Ruben Wiki, got a ball away. Well, if that had a stuck in the hands of Sean Hoppy, it might have been a chance. 6-0 New Zealand after 26 minutes as Australia brings it away from inside their own 20-metre line once again. And once again, it's Wendell Saylor. Kosef. And Fletcher's gone off. There he is, heading for the benches. And Price. And a penalty against the Kiwis inside the 10. But this should see Australia get themselves down into an attacking position. Seldom have they been down there. As Paul Vorton pointed out, and rightly so, their defensive load has been extreme, and when they've been given the ball in attack, they've had a bad case of dropsy, probably brought on them by that defensive load. Played by Glenn Lazarus right on halfway. Tallis it is that takes it ahead, but he meets a persistent New Zealand defence that so far has proven impregnable. Across for Langer, and then Fitler, and a face pass picking up Daly. Daly's inside the 30, gets a pass inside for Lockyer. Beautiful pass, Daly. Even better from Lockyer, and Saylor's in. Saylor's over to score the Australian try. That is absolutely superb rugby league, and the hands of Laurie Daly and Darren Lockyer. Just a really sensational try.
Yeah, we talk about the elite back line, plenty of stars in it, and they all shone in one sweeping movement down the left-hand side. You'll see here that an Australian attacker attracts 2 defenders. As we freeze it there, you can see this man from New Zealand has come in. He wasn't needed, and all of a sudden the winger's got 2 men coming at him as play continues. Laurie Daly slides through the middle, throws half a dummy, gets rid of Sean Hoppy. A beautiful pass back inside for Lockyer, and Lockyer just tosses it up to his Brisbane teammate Wendell Saylor. Beautiful stuff, plenty of skills involved, and they've hit back beautifully despite the lack of football.
And the man who sprinted out of the line to open up the space out there was Ruben Wiki. He'll probably rue that behind the line now. Some great hands here from Daly. Good skill. Nice fend to hold Stacey Jones at bay and then offload. It was a dusty pass, but it did the job. And then the Brisbane Bronco combination came good at the end. Lockie just saw Wendell out of the corner of his eye. Nice offload, and Swan couldn't get there. So Australia hit back. Some good quality football there from them.
And it needed to be as well, didn't it? Despite that one defensive error from Ruben Wiki, they scrambled pretty well again, New Zealand. Missed a couple of tackles in the process. But it still took plenty of skill for the Aussies to get the ball over the line, and Matt Rogers moves in.
So Rogers has got this online and gets the 2 points for Australia's score. Australia and New Zealand are 6 points all after 29 minutes of the Test match. Well, it's been a brave effort, really, by the Australians. They've been on the end of the defensive count and then almost a length of the field performance to score. 6 points all then at Stadium Australia. First Test match ever to be played here, and they've got the football back. Well, what's he ruled here?
He's got Richard Swain for knocking on, I think, Ray.
Your hand back to their hand, back to yours. Scrum, Australia ball.
But the ball never hit the ground, did it? For sure it doesn't. I mean, he hasn't deliberately knocked the ball forward. That should be play on for mine.
Exactly right.
I mean, you can't knock the ball deliberately forward and then catch it. That's a penalty, but he did not. He just tried to grab it and it went forward. Came back off an Australian player. Hard done by the Kiwis.
25 metres out from their own line, the Australians. And this is Andrew Johns making a weaving contribution for Australia. Now it's with Kosef. Tallis. Tallis really the centre of attention out there. He's put down on the halfway line. Now it's Johns, and Johns, his second hit up on this particular set of 6. It's away for Langer, turns it in for Kearns, and Kearns with an arm free is put down on the 30-metre line. Plays it back for Johns and then for Langer. Langer puts a little chip over. He's looking for the outside backs, and Vainikolo read the play and is tackled down on his own 10-metre line. Quick play the ball by him. And now Richie Barnett comes out, stepping off that left foot. 15 away from his line. Swain is the dummy half. Born in Tamworth to a New Zealand mother. Kalis, likewise, New Zealand parents. It's Lazarus who knocked the ball down. I thought he was trying to get back on side, but the referee disagrees with that thought. And Tallis will play the ball 32 metres away from the New Zealand line. Now it's Langer putting it onto the chest of Fitler. The defence puts Fitler under pressure. The ball has gone forward, and he's going to pack a scrum down.
They're very difficult conditions out there, and Brad Fitler just changing the angle of the attack. They're coming back, but there was plenty of defence around when Langer let go of the football. An important stage in this game, the last 10 minutes of the first half. And delicately poised as the scoreboard indicates.
Swan just outside the 30-metre line. Sway for Hermanson back towards the centre of the ground. That's his own 40-metre line, as you can see. And Swain now comes to the short side, answering the call of Ruben Wiki, who crawls a couple of metres to the halfway line. Robbie Paul. Robbie Paul. I don't think he's handled the football and been tackled in the first attempt yet. Stacey Jones running free to the right, kicking back into the middle. Lockyer comes across and takes it in mid-air.
Well, New Zealand actually appealed for 6 again when Robbie Paul got his pass away. They believed that there was an Australian hand involved. The referee said no. Laurie Daly now tackled 19 out from his own line. Just shy of centre field. Andrew Johns starting to run from dummy half a little bit more, but still not finding a lot of space. This is the pass that Paul gets away, and they claim it touched the hand, and I think they had good cause to call for that as well.
Lazarus now just beyond his own 30-metre line. They go to the blind side for Kearns. Just on that play earlier on from the kickoff, I believe Swain propelled the ball forward and it struck an opponent player, an opposition player, and I think that's the way the referee ruled. This was the short kickoff that they applied. I think it's propelled forward, hits an opposing player before he regains possession, and I think that's the rule the English referee has applied. I remember it happened down at Brookvale one day not too many years ago, and we were all left scratching our head. Kosef at the moment has got a bleeding head. The NZ is winning the scrum, and here's Big Vaynakola. What do they call him, Paul? The Volcano? 35 out from his own line. This is Talau, the Canterbury centre. Vaynakola supporting to the halfway line. Swain running from dummy half. This is good stuff. And Swain will be suited to this style of football because Melbourne adopts it a lot. Now Robbie Paul, little dummy on the left, tries to go down the middle, picks up a runner. It's Barnett, gets a one-hander away. Langer touched it. It should be 6 more. He's restarted the tackle count. Jones is with it. And Jones will play it now. 25 metres out from the Australian line. Henry Paul to the 20. Swain. Vanguna runs at Andrew Johns, beats him. Paul away from McCracken. McCracken for Hoppy. Hoppy's put down 7 metres out from the Australian line. Robbie Paul again. Jason Lowry. Can he unload? He can't. 4 Australians involved in the tackle. From Robbie Paul for Stacey Jones. He's into the clear. Lockyer is there though, and Lockyer gets it back, loses the ball. Barnett puts it down. Barnett puts it down. Now, did he lose the ball or pass the ball?
No, he hasn't passed it, Ray. It's come out. We're going to the video referee. I think there was only 1 involved in the tackle.
I don't think there was 2 in the tackle.
And that's what the referee is saying. He doesn't think that there was 2 involved in the tackle. And if there's only 1, Richie Barnett gets the second, and Darren Lockyer's woes continue against the New Zealand side in the Anzac Test match. Oh.
No, there's 2 in the tackle, Pete, so this, I reckon, will be a penalty.
I'd like to see it again.
Was the ball raked out? I mean, the 2 in the tackle is one part of the equation. Did it actually get raked out?
The Australians are very confident it will be a no try.
It is no try. Dennis Spagarino is the video referee tonight.
And it has been a penalty awarded to the Australian team.
This is it again from another angle. The hand of Barnett is the important thing, and he does rake it out from the grasp of Darren Lockyer and gives a penalty.
So I take that back. The woes do not continue for Darren Lockyer. Don't forget, he did have an unhappy game in the first test last year, but he came back in, well, showed championship qualities in his next couple of performances. That's Kearns taking it over the 40.
Johns. Fitler gets the big forearm up into the face of Henry Paul and plays it back for Andrew Johns. And now it's Gordon Tallis. Gordon Tallis, he's a destructive runner down the left flank, inside ball. Saylor picks it up. Saylor goes across the park. Langer goes up the middle, and he will be made to play the ball. 18 metres away from the line. Johns didn't know the ball had been played. Fitler across for Daly. Daly on. Now it's Fletcher. And Fletcher 15 metres out from the line. On the eastern side of the ground. Darren Smith. Langer kicking across the park. And Hoppy it is. He's going to try and get it back. He might as well. I'll tell you what, he's going to make. No, he doesn't. He falls short by a metre. But he'd already touched the ball. He was on the odds to nothing not to try and get back.
He was going to make it. What about this run of Gordon Tallis? A nice little step, got through Robbie Paul, set up his supports, and then Saylor, they nearly scored again, the Australians. Langer held up, but then when Hoppy tried to get the ball out, took a great tackle.
Andrew Johns.
Andrew Johns, what a player. He's a halfback for his Newcastle club, playing hooker tonight, and he can mix it with the best of them. Here come the Aussies.
Couple of minutes away from half-time. Saylor, scorer of the Australian try. Now Kearns. Playing it inside the 30-metre line. Back for Andrew Johns, and to the right for Lazarus. And Tallis tries to hook onto the big man.
If New Zealand go in locked up here, they won't be too disappointed. If they go in behind, they'll be shattered.
Here's Daly. Daly for Darren Smith. There's a try on. Rogers gets a ball back for Darren Smith. And Darren is tackled a couple of metres from the line. From Lockyer to Daly, then for Fitler. Fitler gets the ball away. Andrew Johns gets it away, but it's gone to ground. And the advantage rule sees McCracken play it for New Zealand.
Great defence, good attack. A penalty now, a relieving one for New Zealand, and they need it. But on the far side, Willie Talau came up with a try saver, and it looked as though Andrew Johns was going to pop one up for Brad Fitler here to get the Australian second. He just lost control. In fact, he found Fitler, but the pass was a little bit behind him. And then the penalty awarded to the Kiwis for the markers not standing straight.
So many times watching New Zealand or watching New Zealand club sides, you watch them, they tend to wilt in the last 10 minutes of each half, and I think there are signs of that happening with the Kiwis here. They've got away with it this time, though, and they will take it, you would think, to half-time at 6 all. Henry Paul picked up and dumped by Andrew John. How strong is he? He lost that ball. Well, will they get to the half-time break at 6 all? Because now this scrum will see a loose head and feed for Australia. But it is 5 metres on their own side of halfway. The strength of Andrew Johns again typified by that tackle.
Yeah, I think Paul might have tried to milk that one, but I still think there could have been a penalty awarded his way. Will they kick early in the tackle count here, the Australians? Daly,
Lockyer comes in from the back. Smith goes straight up the middle. Steps out of a tackle on the halfway, reaches the New Zealand 40. Lockyer now. Rogers is coming around the back of the ruck, wanting to get involved. Now he retires. Kearns played it. Down low. Beautiful hands, Laurie Daly. Now Matt Singer's got his first touch of the football. He's looking for the corner call back.
There's been a shepherd, Ray. He's saying that...
17. Pull him back.
he was saying there was some
one of the Aussies pulled back one of the Kiwi defenders. And there it is here, just at the top of the screen. I think it's Fletcher who pulls out Stacey Jones. And referee Cummings says that was an indiscretion.
Yeah, the number 17 was definitely the man penalised, but if Ruben Wiki keeps rushing up like that, he is going to cause all sorts of problems for the New Zealand defence around him. He flew up again, and that's why the gap appeared.
So the tap taken by New Zealand, and Richard Swain is tackled, and that takes us to half-time. So 6 points all. New Zealand scored a converted try early in the game. It took Australia quite some time. In fact, it was a half an hour into the game before they were able to draw level, and that is the half-time score. 1 try apiece. Australia and New Zealand playing the Anzac Day Test, or should I say more precisely, on the Anzac Day weekend, the Test match being played at Stadium Australia, a crowd that probably is in the area of the mid-20,000s. So Henry Paul about to start the second half, and they go for a high start, a shallow restart. The bounce comes down, favours them. It came off the legs of the New Zealander, back to another, but the referee has ordered that the ball has been knocked on as Australia comes up with it, and New Zealand will get the loose head and feed. So what a tremendous start for them.
It's proved to be a pretty good tactic, that the high short restart. That time Laurie Daly couldn't get possession, knocked on, and Stacey Jones again from the scrum base causes problems.
Fitler this time wraps him up. Opening minute of the second half, 6 points all. It was early in the match that New Zealand got their converted try, and they're trying to repeat it now as Henry Paul goes across, throws a couple of dummies before McCracken is felled around the legs by Fitler. Now they come back for Joe Vunganar. He's back towards centre park, and it's Jason Smith who pulls him down together with Andrew Johns. Australia holding their line, getting it together now as Henry Paul goes to the right. A penalty to Australia. He's penalised for not raking the ball back with your foot. Oh, what a stupid penalty to give. It is Joe Vunganar. He doesn't strike it with the foot, and he gives a penalty to Australia. Steve Roach is back from the sheds. What did you find out, big fella?
Yeah, well, the Australian coach, Chris Anderson, praised the defence of the Australians, especially in that first 20 minutes. He said, stay calm, don't panic. It'll come when we get some quality football down their end. He thought the Kiwis were starting to tire. He wants more urgency to get back and help when the New Zealand put up the high ball. Let's get bodies there. For New Zealand coach Frank Endicott, he was pretty happy. He said, keep doing the same things. Mix our game up. We're causing the Aussie defence all sorts of problems around that dummy half. He said, don't force the ball. We can't afford to give the Aussies easy footy. He said, keep peppering Lockyer. He doesn't look confident under the high ball.
Talking of loose ball, there's some there now to be cleaned up by Glenn Lazarus. Playing it back for Darren Smith to take a dummy half run. He's had a fairly quiet game. It hasn't been his fault. The ball just hasn't travelled to the right. When they have had the football, it's more or less been coming to the left of the ground for Daly. Tallis did well. Lockyer throws one across the field for Fitler to go back to Langer, and Langer is down, tackled 30 metres out from the Kiwi line. Daly was the acting half to the boot of Fitler. It's a big kick down the ground. The bounce is important. A charging Darren Smith has got a hand on it. Darren Smith has appealed for a try, and Cummings gives the try. No reference to the video referee. So Australia picks up the first points in the second half. A kick across the ground, and Darren Smith has scored to take it to 10-6.
Oh, and how simple, but it was set up by a barnstorming effort again from Gordon Tallis. He's been Australia's best by a mile. Alan Langer was tackled on the last. The ball came to Brad Fitler. The only doubt on the try could have been Darren Smith, whether he was in front of the kicker, but that's fine. And this is really woeful from the Kiwis here. No urgency shown whatsoever, especially by Willie Talau. He's the number 3 that Darren Smith runs past to get to the ball. Vainicolo and Richie Barnett, they're looking at each other. But, gee, a lack of urgency there, and they've paid a heavy price.
Well, I'd only just uttered the words. He's been having a fairly quiet night through no fault of his own, and he's got 4 points on the board. It's been converted by Matt Rogers, and Australia lead by 6 after 4 minutes of the second half. Steve Roach.
Yeah, what an important time to score 4 minutes after the break. That'll give the Aussies plenty of confidence, but what a bounce. And it does show if you do chase the football hard enough, you do get luck out of it, and that ball bounced straight up into Smith's hand, and he gets the try.
Well, Willie Talau, their blocker, he did not make an effort to get back. He expected the ball to bounce towards Barnett or Vainicolo. Here's the short restart again. I know that they're all to blame on that occasion, I suppose, but gee, Willie Talau, no effort whatsoever there.
Now Webke putting a strong run behind the earlier effort from Brad Fitler, which brought a very strong tackle on him from Joe Vunganar. This is the third play now. It's with Lazarus, who reaches the halfway mark. 12 points to 6. Australia grabbing an early lead in the second half after we had a half-time situation of 6 points all. Jason Smith. Now Andrew Johns electing to put them down the blind side, and Tallis goes back towards the centre, gets away from a fragile attempted tackle, takes on the fullback, and is held from behind by Stacey Jones. 20-metre line, Andrew Johns spreading it left. Jason Smith, a bullet pass across for Langer. Not held, got the pass away. Daly then for Saylor. Saylor just inside the 10. The ball comes across Jason Smith for Alan Langer. Langer for Fitler. The ball to ground, and Cummings calls a halt. And I think it's the turnover it is. So New Zealand will play the ball back on their own 10-metre line.
Ah, she's razzle-dazzle stuff from the Aussies. Unfortunately, gee, that's the second time Brad Fittler's done that tonight.
38 metres away from his own line. To the blind side for Jones. He's looking for a runner. Barnett's there to oblige. Gets the ball on the full. Good football by the Kiwis, but losing the ball in the final analysis to Darren Smith. There's going to be some very tired players at the end of the weekend, particularly in Brisbane. Daly now. Johns from a standing start, and then running into Vunganar and the number 12, Nathan Kalis, on the 40-metre line, New Zealand's end, and Langer puts a kick down low. Vainicolo back for it, fumbles it the first time. That would have been knocked backwards. And he bumps away from Darren Smith, tries to run away from Tallis, beats him, beats Kearns. And that's a very good effort by the young fellow from Canberra, who now loses the ball in a two-man tackle. It's been raked out in the penalty. You can't do much better than that, Volcano.
That's a great effort. Because you've got to understand, this bloke's been playing first division for Canberra. It's a massive step up in class to a test match for his country. A little bit of a fumble. He says, I'll make up for that. He gets through about 30 of them on this great run.
And at the end of it, Wendell Saylor disagrees with the decision, bangs the ball down and gets marched 10 metres and a talking to.
6-4 the penalties to the Kiwis as Hermanson on another visit to the park from the interchange bench. Lowry was good in the first half. The Henry and Robbie Pauls and Stacey Joneses, they can't perform without the heavy work being done by those forwards, particularly Lowry in that first half of play. I thought he probably outshone Van Genaar. Now it's back for Nathan Kalis, and Kalis put down just inside the 20. Played back to Henry Paul to the right. He's gone for Stacey Jones, and then Jones cuts out the captain, picks up Wiki it is, and Ruben will play the ball just inside the Australian 10-metre line. A chance here for them to get back into it on the 5th tackle. The kick across the park is beautiful from Jones. Rogers under heavy artillery. They put the ball down. Logan Swan it is who claims a try, and the referee has gone for the video referee to have a look at it.
Yeah, I think that this will be okay. I don't think that the Australian players were interfered with. Matthew Rogers was particularly unhappy that the ball went to ground, but I think it was more frustration in his effort here than anything that the Kiwis came up with. They're all onside. There's absolutely no problem with that. Rogers gets under the football. They're all competing for it. It goes through the arms of Rogers, and it's cleaned up by Logan Swan, and that is a try.
And there she goes.
Yes, Dennis Spagarino, the video referee, he's got it right. Logan Swan played for Western Samoa in the World Nines in 1997. 20 out and 10 in from touch. He struck it beautifully, and it's just come across and hit the upright and then bounced across the face. So Australia 12, New Zealand 10. We've had 49 minutes of play gone. The tackles to be taken on the New Zealand 40-metre line. 12-10 Australia. A converted try. It was just so simple. Given the magnitude of the pressure in this match, it's been absolutely tremendous. And then a very simple try to Australia, but New Zealand have struck back. Van Genaar. Good work. 29 metres out from the line. Fletcher nearly gave a penalty. This is Henry Paul weaving and bobbing and ducking, and then put down 7 metres from the line. His brother to dummy half. Stacey Jones, he comes into it now. Takes it to the line. The ball has been lost by Barnett, just as the Kiwis were looking to threaten.
They should never have had to, or Stacey Jones should never have had to wait for the support players to arrive then. It had been set up beautifully as Wendell Saylor, who's been strong tonight, takes the ball away. And another opportunity escapes the Kiwis. Matt Rogers coming in to help out.
35 metres away from his own line. Chance there for the Kiwis. And now into space is Lockyer. Lockyer is down to the 30-metre line. Puts it on the inside off the boot of Fitler. Fitler loses it behind him, and the black and whites have got it. Hoppy gets the ball away. Paul is with it now. Outside the 40 and put down by Gordon Tallis. Hoppy. Rua. Angling away from the major sponsor sign. Wizard Home Loan sponsoring this Anzac weekend test. As it's put back on the inside now for Ruben Wiki. Near the halfway line. 14 into the game for New Zealand is David Kidwell from Parramatta. Very strong centre three-quarter. He's done some impressive things playing in the NRL competition. It's a great elevation for him as well into the national side as Stacey Jones puts a towering bomb into the air. They continue to test Darren Lockyer. And now he tries to circle them, but he's pulled down about 11 metres out from the Australian line. Matt Rogers had to rush in and then makes a rush out beyond the 20-metre line to play it back for Jason Smith. Fletcher, here goes the youngster on debut. A big run down the right of the ground. Fitler, he comes in to put the ball down and complete the work of the debutant. Great try, scored by Brad Fitler. but he'll be the first, and there he is, acknowledging the 24-year-old debutant Brian Fletcher.
The inside man just doesn't have the speed to get across to get Fletcher.
Yeah, you've got to feel probably a little bit sorry for David Kidwell. It's a poor attempt, but he's only been on the field a matter of a couple of minutes. He just looks not warm enough, and he couldn't put it. He's been left well behind, and Brian Fletcher's had a very solid game. He set up Brad Fitler very well. Full marks to Stacey Jones. He just kept coming and coming. Couldn't get there in time.
21 metres out. 5 in from touch. A shaky start to the game, but he's done nothing wrong since that point in time, about 2 minutes into the game. There's his kick. It looks good. He struck it beautifully, and Matt Rogers converts. The try scored by his captain, Brad Fitler, and Australia leads New Zealand 18-10 after 59 minutes. Johns, and it's Webke now. Oh, he's lost it. It was a good tackle by Richard Swain. He went in rather awkwardly, but the effect brought the ball out of the grasp of Webke and put New Zealand back on the attack. Henry Paul now, right on the halfway line. There it was, lost by Webke, and the 17 trailing around the legs was Richard Swain from the Melbourne club. Henry Paul away from dummy half. Easy gain in yards as Fitler makes the tackle. Stacey Jones. Kiwis across now for Robbie Paul, and he gets the ball away from Willie Talau. He fends off one. Vainikolo's heading for the corner. Vainikolo's over. They get their second try in the second half. It's 18 points to 14, and the test match is very much alive.
This has been one of the best test matches I've ever seen. It's just been fantastic. Every time Australia look to have an ascendancy, the Kiwis fight back. And this is a wonderful try by the Kiwis. Some good hands out wide. The Australian line was a bit staggered, and that gave that man there, Willie Talau, a chance to get through. And then you always thought that Vainikolo would have too much speed and power for the fullback in Darren Lockyer.
Yeah, the Kiwis pass on to Paul. Paul got the ball to Talau, who got on the outside of Darren Smith, and that meant that Matt Rogers had to come in off his wing. In fact, he missed the tackle. Smith tried to make up, and then Vainikolo, well, he was never going to be stopped from here. Darren Lockyer, a very unenviable task, trying to take Vainikolo only a couple of metres out.
Henry Paul from the touchline and the 20-metre line, but he's hooked it away. So no addition to the New Zealand score. It is 18 points to 14 Australia after 65 minutes. Down that corridor on the right of the ground, and Darren Lockyer bringing it away outside the 10. Kidwell's after him, gets it back for Saylor. Saylor tries to run through the middle of the defenders and gets it 25 metres out from his own line. Kearns, who's back from that shoulder problem. Lazarus rumbling down the ground, 38 metres away from the Aussie line. Kosseff's turn. This is Price from Canterbury. Then Johns across for Kearns. Halfway line. 18 points to 14 the scoreline. Australia with just the goal kicking the difference. Fletcher on the end of a shoulder from Talau. Johns at acting half. To the blind side for Langer's kick back into the middle. In between Henry Paul and Sean Hoppe. Hoppe dummies to him and then tries to do it himself. But there's a ring of Australian defence around him. Kidwell, a run down the blind side where he was confronted by 4 Australians. So it was a lack of personnel over there for New Zealand on that side of the ground. Hoppe to the 30 now. Swain. 68 minutes gone. And still in the balance this test match as Robbie Paul makes a break. The support comes. Ruben Wiki is there. Nathan Kalis supports. Kalis now to the 20. He got a kick in as he was tackled by Saylor. And falling back there is Darren Smith. He probably can't get it back. There's too many of them there as he eyeballs them and dances away from them. And eventually dances over the dead ball line. So good kick, good chase by New Zealand.
Well, there's nothing these Paul boys can't do. They're just about the 2 best players in the world at the moment. We don't get to see them very much at all, but what they've shown tonight has just been terrific football. And Kalis, good tactic from him. He was hoping for probably a better kick towards the corner to give his winger a chance to get there. In the end, though, just about the perfect result. A bit of dancing, doing the stadium waltz.
Sheepdogs just corralled him.
So the line dropout down for Stacey Jones. They come back with the football on the first play with Jason Lowry. 25 metres away from the line. The second player's with us now. Rua. He'll be made to play the ball 15 metres out. Right in the centre of the ground. He cuts out Robbie Paul for Hermanson to go to Wiki. And Ruben Wiki will stand in the tackle and play it. Third tackle. Henry Paul for Robbie. Drifting across and then decides to pirouette and try and beat them. Taken down by Fletcher. Henry Paul gets a ball away. Rua's come up with it, but the referee has seen a knock on.
Well, the Paul brothers trying to combine there. I nearly heard the call. Henry from up here in the stands. Just couldn't get the ball. The referee could, well, he must have had thoughts about letting that one go. Matt Rule picked it up. But the Australians under siege there.
All I've got to do is blow a penalty.
Lockyer. Heavy defence. They'll be looking for him to cough the ball up. They've still got memories of this corresponding test match last year in regard to Darren Lockyer, which is quite unfair, really, because he's an outstanding player. Their memories are of him on a very, what's the word I'm looking for, on a unique occasion for him. Now Langer across the Lockyer into his back line, and then a cutting run through the centres to be pulled down by Ruben Wiki. Langer driving the Australian attack down the ground, not giving New Zealand another cent of it if he can prevent it. Percentage football, it's called. Now Barnett, Steve Roach sideline.
Well, Australia haven't been able to set the platform from dummy half. We haven't made one break from dummy half, probably because Johns generally plays halfback, but the New Zealanders have made plenty of breaks from that position to set their platform.
Sean Hoppy. Willie Talau. Now it's a penalty to New Zealand. The Marcos, I think you'll find he's penalised for not standing directly in front of one another or in front of the play the ball. Let's watch them.
That's going to be the big advantage for teams. Yeah, you can see Fletcher to the side there. Teams that can get consecutive sixes. The Kiwis have got that now with Hermanson going inside 30. They've still got 5 tackles up their sleeve. Bungana winds up.
The big front rower to the 20. Paul away for Stacey Jones. Back in for Robbie Paul. He comes back. He's able to get the pass away. Now it's Willie Talau. Leslie Bainacolo knocks on. So another scrum back on the Australian 10-metre line. How many of these have we had?
Just wondering who knocked it down first. I thought the Australians knocked it on first.
Well, Rogers is complaining to the touch judge, so it may well be a New Zealand feed, Paul.
Once again, that looks like a pass off the ground for mine, but an inside ball here from Talaus. It's knocked down by Rogers, no doubt about it. Really, the referee called it. And here they come, the Kiwis.
So they go to the right of the ground immediately with 2 passes for Barnett. 15 away from the line. Kidwell from dummy half. Andrew Johns, the chief tackler. Henry Paul. Stacey Jones. Terry Hermanson. Jones again. Now it's Ruben Wiki. 12 metres from the line. Henry Paul from dummy half. Finding his brother. Robbie puts it down for Stacey Jones. Pushes it across to Logan Swan. Now a handoff, and it was with David Kidwell. Back for Stacey Jones. And Jones flicks it out the back. Picks up Logan Swan again. They're keeping it alive. Away from Henry Paul for Terry Hermanson. A long ball for Leslie Bainacolo. Bainacolo heads for the corner. Talau. Hermanson. In the wrong place.
Jones, cross kick.
Now from Henry Paul for Stacey Jones to go high and across. Up goes Daly. They came down with it and lost it. Sean Hoppy had it. And he also had almost definitely a 6-pointer in his hands. Sailor, 74th minute. And Daly went up, contested it with Hoppy, and Hoppy came down with it and lost it. Probably, as I see it on replay, was covered by Fitler anyway. So it wasn't the opportunity that I first thought it was. Darren Smith, Gordon Tallis. This crowd bigger than I imagined. Special figures coming through as Daly steps and beats Wiki. And then goes through 2 other tacklers. He's down to the New Zealand 30. They come across and swamp him in defence. Langer. Now Jason Smith. The try line is 10 metres away. Matt Singer's on again, but New Zealand have got the ball.
And they were in trouble, New Zealand. Richie Barnett was hurt in that tackle on Laurie Daly. Got the referee stopping the game here. The touchies come in from the far side to give a report.
Against you, mate. Over here. Here we go.
And the New Zealand captain,
Is the penalty here?
they've given away 2 points here. You would imagine that the Australians would take the 2 to extend it to a converted try in front.
Tell you
never
what,
quite. No, here's Langer. No, he puts it down.
I'll tell you what, Peter and Paul, this referee has been conspicuous by his absence, which is the way we like it.
He's been terrific, actually. Hasn't had much to do or say. He's just rolled along nicely. A couple of probably slight errors he made. Maybe in the first half. Great run from Laurie Daly, playing outside Langer. Beat a couple, looking for support, got hammered in a tackle. Richie Barnett reeled out of that one. Now we're looking for Jared McCracken holding someone out of it. Here he comes over now. Oh, I was late on the kicker.
Yeah. The only decision I haven't understood from Stuart Cummings is Jason Smith is the man who gets cleaned up by his Parramatta teammate. Was Vangana being penalised for rolling the ball between his legs. I thought that was standard practice in England. I just figured you'd get away with it.
Yeah.
I have seen 6 others tonight like that.
So it is a 2-pointer for Matt Rogers at the 75th minute. Still a ball game, 20 points to 14. In the Olympic city of the year 2000, the Harbour City, hosting the Anzac Day weekend test. Sponsored by Wizard Home Loans, who, as I pointed out, were quick to come on board for the test match. And now it's Willie Talau. 6 points the margin, still a chance for the black and white side. Robbie Paul. How good have they been? The Paul brothers and Stacey Jones, but particularly the former. Now Henry Paul. Pulled down 25 metres away from the Aussie line. An appeal from Vangana. Through for Jones, then for Rua. 19 off the Australian line. Midway through the tackle count. Jones, Vangana, the runner-up. The pass on. It's with Henry Paul. Tallis has to pull him down desperately. And he's got a problem, Henry Paul. Laurie Daly immediately.
Gingerly taking from the ground, and this is a very unfortunate, well, almost end of the test match, despite the fact we've got a couple of minutes to go and the game is still in the balance. And a very good round of applause for Henry Paul, who is sitting up now, and that's a great sign.
So a replacement ball player for New Zealand, and they're right on the attack. Australia's had a chance to set their line. Here's Barnett. Oh, and Rua puts it down. It'll be another scrum back on the Australian 10-metre line. Matt Rogers bumping away from a shoulder charge that went wrong. Australia then out to their own 30 with Brad Fitler. 40-metre line, the Kiwis in. Fitler, Langer, long ball, Lockyer in beautifully from the back. Tallis is out there wide. Tallis unloads. Sailor's there now. Darren Smith on the western touchline, works away from it. 5 gone for the Aussies. Andrew John finding Langer, kicks on the 20-metre line. The chase is on. Robbie Paul gets there first. It'll be a line dropout.
And that kick will get the Australians home. It appears though it's coming Australia's way. The short drop out finds Darren Smith.
Scoring might not be over yet. Johns for Kearns, and Robbie will play the ball 10 metres away on the second play. Tallis gave a decoy down the blind. Jason Smith works on the open. And the Parramatta back rower, or 5/8, slow to rise. He's clutching at the ribcage. Langer across the ground. Fitler gets the ball away. Matt Rogers is there, tried to shovel a pass off, but Jared McCracken had him all tied up. From Price for Langer, then for Johns. Johns gets it on. Tallis out wide again. Darren Smith for the corner, and I think the corner post went. He wants the video referee's help. The touch judge stayed back in the field of play, which indicated to me that he was of the opinion the corner post had gone. Well, he loses the ball short of the line.
He comes up short. He's had another very strong game tonight, Darren Smith. Andrew Johns did well around the dummy half area. But really, I think there's the no-try signal. One of Australia's best players tonight has been Wendell Saylor. He's been heavily involved. He's roved around the field, and he's played terrific. Something like 15 or 16 hit-ups for him.
New Zealand, they try and come up with a miracle. The kick behind Wendell Saylor. He's got plenty of time to clean it up, and does so.
So the final seconds of the test match with Wendell Saylor in the spotlight. And there it is, the final hooter. Australia has defeated New Zealand 20 points to 14 in front of a crowd of 30,245. It was 3 tries apiece. Saylor, Darren Smith and Fitler for Australia. And for New Zealand, Robbie, Paul, Logan Swan and Leslie Vainacolo.